Oh, it's already running.
Yeah. We've been podcasting for 2 minutes now, Steve.
Wow.
Yeah. How do you feel about the show so far? You think it's going good?
Oh, it's going great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it feels like a strong episode. I think people are going to like this one. Like the puppets.
Yeah, no, dude,
Sesame Street.
Your beard right now, you're getting that vibe too.
Yeah, I'm very Muppety right now.
Yeah.
So there's people who will probably say that I'm always Muppety.
That's true.
I got the big, like, Muppet eyes. That's what those are, right? Muppet eyes?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like that Kim Carnes song. And Muppet eyes.
I don't know that one.
It's Betty Davis eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Is that Kim Carnes? I don't know.
I don't know. I always hated that song. Ready to go, Steve?
I am.
Let's do another episode of
Waiting for you to say your name.
Hi, my name is Ryan.
And I'm Steve, and this is 60 Cycle Hum. The guitar buying, selling, trading, modding, fixing, breaking, reviewing, playing podcast. This first ad was sent by Rupert Jacques. It says, guitars unused. However, I recently modified it and made some very light scratches on the pickguard and very few blemishes around the body. Barely noticeable. Does not affect playability. See all pictures. I wanted to add where they're like, there's some scratches on the body and it definitely affects playability.
It ruins things.
I'm selling this awesome guitar that I assembled and modified recently as an experiment. You could say it's a prototype, as I plan on creating a few different versions of these. A pink stereo output flying V with mahogany body and a bolt-on star caster classic vibe maple neck for that spanky starry sound. It's got 2 powerful SX liquid humbuckers with a pink kill switch for creative ways to rock. A loud and clean lipstick Telecaster pickup in the middle for its own output, with its own output for a unique configuration. So that's the stereo thing. A bunch of other things.
So the middle and the single in the middle is going to the second output.
That I believe is the case.
That's interesting.
A whole lot of other words. Here we go. The guitar plays comfortably with the current action. The gloss neck feels nice and sturdy. It does remind me somewhat of a Gibson neck, but longer. The string spacing is perfect for wide fingers, has clear and robust tone. Very much what you'd expect from a rock machine.
Ooh, rock and roll.
And it's so solid that it stays in tune forever. The intonation is fine. It sounds great for rock, jazz, surf, or clean funk. Play the video on the bottom. I could say there's some slight room for improvement on the G string beyond the 17th fret. Maybe trying a different bridge or doing a setup, but honestly, it's not really needed since it sounds rad. For the record, I'm not a luthier, but I am an electronics technician with a few years of experience modding guitars and building a couple guitars from scratch. Let's check this out. Oh, this is a Space Pink Stereo V7777. Was this originally sent in? No, I'm thinking of something else. We had an ad sent in that I think was referencing Interstellar 55555, which was the Daft Punk thing.
All right.
Though maybe this is what I saw.
I think this is a fun parts guitar.
Yeah.
Like they did some cool things here. Love the arcade button. What is that? That's a Gretsch stop bar, right? Like the V-shaped stop bar.
I think so.
That's a fun addition. It looks a little partsy, but because the rest of the guitar is also partsy, it works.
Yeah.
Like it would bug me if someone just threw that on some guitar it didn't belong on, that was just trying to play it straight, but it works here. It looks like a weird little chromy mouth on the guitar, just going like, put your picks in here. I've got teeth. The dual output thing. Yeah, this thing is an experimenter's guitar. The Starcaster neck on a V.
It's really fun.
It's really super fun.
I really like that.
I really like that. I
want to think
it's reminding me is giving me Pure Salem vibes.
I want to think that this guy saw your Flying V at some point and decided to make this.
Just, you know what? Anytime that I or anyone else has an idea, you can assume that a dozen other weirdos out there have had the same idea. This is different than my Fender style V. I like this guy's spirit, obviously, but I think the idea of the middle single, I can't make the right words today. I'm saying words, but they're not in the right order or the right words for what I'm trying to say. The middle single going to a separate output is actually kind of brilliant, because those humbuckers are just going to be completely different sound than the single and completely different output. So it's going to hit drive totally different. If you're running clean, it's even worse, because you're just volume jumping like crazy going from humbucker to single most of the time, generally speaking. Of course, there are exceptions, but I have a feeling these pickups aren't paired well together. Running that middle single to a separate rig means that you get to balance all that out. You get to set the gain a different way. You set it higher if you want to, or vice versa. Set it darker, set it warmer, throw a bunch of reverb on it, or like some sort of modulation. Like, that sounds like fun experimenting to me. And it's going to be a different voicing from that second output than the two humbuckers. So you'll get a nice dimensional separation in between your humbucker signal and whatever you do to that single coil. I'm signing off on it. I think it's cool.
Yeah. I think the only very small criticism I have is on the back, the strap knob. Why not just put that on the neck plate? It doesn't really need to be separated out. Again, very small.
That's whatever.
And I
disagree with Steve.
I like that they put in the thought to figure out how to make this fit the scale. Because there was a scale shift.
They did have to move the bridge.
So they had to move the bridge. They plugged the holes on the pick guard.
I think there's room. I would have moved that neck further out of the heel. I would have, and then I would have cut the pick guard to obscure that
gotcha.
gap.
But the holes in the neck probably already existed. So they would have had to re-drill that.
No, you can re-drill. You can dowel the holes in it. Steve, if you ever get like one of my project necks off of a guitar, you'll see that I've re-drilled them like 5 or 6 times. Like,
fair enough.
As long as you got enough glue and toothpicks in there, you can sink a screw into a neck.
Yeah.
No, I've never actually had to dowel, because those holes are like actually really small. And I've shifted necks around into different pockets and stuff like that onto different bodies that have different hole spacing, and it's never been an issue. You just pre-drill a little hole and then open it up a little bit so that you're not splitting the wood, and you're fine. Like, no, that's not a problem at all. What he did is fine as well. It would have been less work, I think, to move the neck out a bit to address the scale issue.
Yeah.
That's my call anyways. And look, the neck is touching the humbucker anyways. It would have given him more space for a neck humbucker, and it would have gotten the bridge humbucker closer to the bridge pickup. I don't like it when a bridge pickup is too far away from the bridge. Like, it gets too warm.
For sure.
I want that cut off
That's
of a bridge pickup. Yeah. But really cool build otherwise. What did he want for it? 656. Let's just call it.
It's in San Diego.
That's 666. Local pickup only, Steve. He's not even going to ship it.
Yeah.
Good thing we're here.
Yeah.
I'm going to say no.
Go get it, Ryan.
No. But I should message him like, you want to see my V? And we'll like trade pictures of our Vs.
There you go.
Yeah. V Club. Hey, I guess it should be up, huh? That looks so rude. You guys in the V Club?
If you want to join the V Club, head on over to patreon.com/60cyclehumcast, where for as little as $1 a month, or as much as whatever you want to put in the pot, you can join the V Club.
Oh my God, what a transition.
Of course, we do have expenses on this show. We've got NAMM coming up. We've got new equipment that Ryan has.
Hopefully, I've replaced the camera since last week.
We just have things that come up. Of course, we get food every week. We get food not just for us eating here, but I also send some money. It sounds so weird to say, like, I send money to my wife in Menifee to buy food, but we cover the food for everyone.
Well, yeah, because podcast night legitimately interrupts family life.
Yeah.
Because we do this late at night on work nights.
Yeah.
So there's domestic issues happening, and the Patreon budget remedies that. It means that no one's having to cook while a spouse is missing.
Everyone's getting an easy night.
Everyone's getting an easy night. It's also like, I feel like in my family, it actually kind of helps limit like the random, like, oh, let's just get takeout. Because we're like, it's going to be Tuesday next week.
Yeah.
We're going to have Mexican next week,
fair.
you know? And so it kind of like has become a part of our family ecosystem.
Yeah. So we appreciate everyone who supports via Patreon.
Absolutely.
I mean, we appreciate everyone who supports.
You're
period.
feeding our kids.
Like
So you're legitimately the Patrons are feeding our kids a meal.
You're literally putting
twice a month
food on our tables.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks everyone. At the end, of course, somebody pointed out that if you are an audio only listener, you never see the scroll, which is true.
That's true.
I'm just gonna put the scroll in this description.
But you know who can see? Well, can they see?
Who?
If you go over to Patreon, you might be able to see all the other Patrons. I'm not sure that's true.
I don't think that's true.
Okay, that's not true.
I'm 99%.
Listen,
sure
if you're listening, okay, I don't want to be insensitive to our sight impaired listeners out there, but they wouldn't complain anyways. They wouldn't be like, I'm not getting to see the scroll. Maybe they would want us to read it. Maybe we should read it sometime.
Well, we usually read it on like anniversary shows.
Okay. If you're sight impaired and you have a way to send us a comment through one of your machines or an email, let us know. And we'll read the Patreon list from time to time. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Yeah. I think it's fair.
I think the last time we did it was probably the 500th episode.
We know that we have deaf members in our audience.
Yeah.
This is music. There's all sorts of blind musicians. Like we're bound to have blind people in our audience. Like, or you're just sight impaired in general. Like I know it's a spectrum of impairment. So
anyway, thanks everyone. This episode is also brought to you by String Joy.
I started laughing because of the awkward pause.
Yeah,
like I could feel Steve trying
to do with that. But this episode's also brought to you by String Joy, or at least it was until Ryan did that. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, now we're talking about the company that harvests human baby teeth, and they grind them up, and then they coat the orbiters.
Fantastic strings.
I've got a new guitar that I can finally show on a podcast episode because it's been released. I need to put orbiters on here. I don't know what came on it. They're fine. They're not my gauge is the problem.
Yeah.
They're totally glossy enough. This is the first day I've had it out, so they're still glossy. But they're not my gauge yet, and I'm itching to put a set of orbiters on it.
That guitar is going to feel killer with that 10.5 50 set on.
Yeah. Fatten it up a little bit.
Yep.
It's too shreddy right now. I need to slow it down a little bit.
So head on over to stringjoy.com, use the link below so they know you sent us, and use code HUM at checkout for 10% off. This episode is also brought to you by Chase Bliss Audio. I think their new thing should be out by now.
New thing is out.
All going to know what it is.
Definitely know what it is. Here's a picture of it up here.
Oh, great. Wow. I think it's cool that they're bringing back the analog analog heart though. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think the little clips that they've been playing of it all sound really neat. So I'm looking forward to hearing more. Yeah,
we don't know what it is yet because we recorded this 2 weeks ago.
If you wanna know more about it, go find a demo of it on YouTube.
Yeah, somewhere. That's what you should do. That's like the plan, right?
And go follow them on Instagram. Go hear their official little videos and clips on Instagram. Go do that.
Go follow them on MySpace. Get on your Zynga.
On MySpace.
Get on your LiveJournal. Go follow Chase Bliss on LiveJournal. It's a good idea.
Ryan, this next ad was sent.
What if we started a LiveJournal for the show?
We could. Would it be better to start a Tumblr? We have a Tumblr.
We have a Reddit, and there's only like 10 people there.
There's a lot of people there, just nobody comments.
No one ever does anything there. It's not that sort of community, I've been trying to be
I think if
more active on the Reddit.
I think if people were like asking like DIY stuff on there, it would take off a bit. But
if you're on the Reddit or you want to be, go join the 60 Cycle Hum official Reddit and post literally anything. Get weird.
Yeah.
I do not care. Like post articles, post weird pictures of dogs or whatever. Like nothing racy or gross or whatever. I don't want to see poop. But just like go do stuff on there and be as silly and weird as you want. I don't care.
This next ad was sent by Matt Carnevale. There is no about this listing.
I grabbed this just because we have mentioned this from time to time as this being part of guitar pedal history.
Yeah. This is a damage control timeline.
What is it? What is it? A transitional form. This is a transitional form in guitar brand evolution.
Yeah, you might recognize this name. This is the timeline delay.
Right.
Sound familiar, anybody? This one's green. I believe the timeline is gray now.
This is a true missing link.
Yeah.
Like this is a missing link of guitar evolution. This because you can see its lineage.
Yeah.
You can see it. It's
got
crazy.
Dual purpose knobs, but they're all concentric knobs instead of,
right
on a secondary switch.
It has a weird kind of like die cast over designed body in a shape that no other pedals ever had. It has integrated tubes for some reason and is already a big pedal.
Yeah.
And it comes with a huge power supply. If you haven't figured it out yet, this timeline isn't made by Strymon yet. This pedal is made by Damage Control, which Steve already said, which is a brand that spun off of Line 6.
Yep.
This is the missing link in between Line 6 and Strymon, and you can see characteristics of each brand in it. It's historic, really.
I think technically Damage Control and Strymon are the same company.
Right. But obviously this is not the same.
No.
product.
I'm saying like, so the guys from guys that were originally at Line 6 spun out, started Damage Control, and then at some point they just changed the name of the company.
I mean, we might be getting some of that wrong because
I just read that on Wikipedia. So.
Right, Wikipedia
might be getting it wrong.
We could go to NAMM and we could get the story straight from the Strymon.
Are they going to
guys.
be at NAMM?
Yeah, they're in, you know where they are. They're in the basement, baby.
Is the basement back?
The basement's back.
The basement's back. Why is that on the topic?
Half of the basement is for badge pickup, but the basement
and the other half is Strymon.
No, they're back in their old spot.
That's cool.
And there is a weird guitar section there, like indie guitar stuff.
I haven't looked at the map too closely yet.
A guy who auditioned to be in Vulture Shock as a bassist. He's a bass builder.
Yeah, that I forget his name, but yeah, I know.
Yeah, Cormac.
And
he's going to be there. He's going to have a booth down there. So if you're going to NAMM, go down and check out Cormac's booth.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure it's Cormac. If I screwed up your name, I'm
no, that's
sorry.
his name. I forget his last name because his last name is what the
McGrath.
McGrath. Yeah.
McGrath Bathers. He makes like a
Bathers.
He makes a really wild take on on a P bass. Have you seen him?
I've seen him, but I don't have that image in my head immediately.
So what? Like I'm holding up a Strat as an example.
Yeah.
So you see where the neck horn is right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's done a thing where the body's elongated up there, but it's very so the horn's further up the neck.
Okay.
So that's not an uncommon thing.
No.
But he's going for a more traditional throwback 50s like Fender sort of vibe with it.
So he's putting on like modern bass appointments to like offset, like to fix neck dive and whatever, but he's still keeping the vintage aesthetic.
Exactly. That's what I see when I look at them anyways. Put a link down to his stuff down there. Local guy, local builder. I think he's up in Vista or Oceanside right now. Yeah, we'll put a link to him down below and look up his booth number at NAMM if you're going.
Yep. I don't really have a lot to say about these. I remember when these came out, they were really expensive because they're vacuum tube pedals.
Right.
And I've always heard
that was the way to make them expensive, is to be like, oh, it's got tubes in it, guys.
Yeah. I've always heard they were really good.
They're probably great.
But I never played one.
It's very rare we have pedals on our guitar podcast.
Yeah, that's true.
We save the pedals for the demos because usually, what do you say about a pedal in a podcast? It's a pedal. It hasn't been modified. There's nothing crazy about it. But this is like a really interesting point in pedal history. that you can go and buy. Like it's like, what do they want for it? $290. Is that cheaper than a new timeline?
I think it is.
I think those aren't they like $399 or something like that?
That sounds about right. There's another timeline for $300.
Obviously, it's not the same thing as a current timeline. It's a totally different architecture and circuit, I'm sure.
There was a non-functioning damage control womanizer for $85.
It's non-functioning?
It's non-functioning, but that, you know, if you want to poke around inside,
You just want the case?
if you just want the
It could be
I'm wondering,
something
like,
simple.
do you just need to replace the tubes, you know?
I've fixed a couple pedals recently with just a can of deoxit.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, this switch is bad. Like, oh, it's not turning on anymore. And I throw on the deoxit and like, oh, it works again. Hooray. Sometimes I wonder like, oh, this is non-operational. It's like, is it though? Is it though?
Is it though?
You sure about that? You sure about that? We'll see.
So this is the cheapest one on Reverb. Is it cool? No idea.
It's
But
kind
it
of,
is a piece of history.
it looks kind of lame because it's that old school line 6 style, like pod
Sure.
spider amp sort of like built. But it is like, this is what I would put in the time capsule for, you know, the pedal time capsule from the year.
Sure.
This was coming out.
This also kind of like fit the general aesthetic of the time. You know, you think
Yes.
about visual sound with the home plate pedals.
Oh yeah, those are big.
They had the original like hard angle home plate pedals, and then
Yeah.
they did the V3s that were like softer.
And all the Digitech big form factor pedals and stuff like that, like the whammy and the variations on that, and like Morley wahs that are twice as big as they need to be, all the snarling dog stuff. There was a lot of big pedals in the 90s.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, we hadn't really figured out that like people want things to be ergonomic.
Also,
and
like,
fit on a pedal board.
the DL4 was hugely successful.
Yeah.
It makes sense that they would like try to do a similar sort of look. It looks like a PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
Like a PlayStation 1, like the middle should pop up and you throw a disc in there. Because it's got that circle in
No,
the
you're
middle.
right. You're right. Why is that circle there? No one knows. It's just
No, I bet they were like, let's make it look like a PlayStation.
Yeah, this just has all of these like extra curves to it.
Right. It was like this kind, they were trying to, the thing was like trying to like hint at this throwback 50s, 60s automotive design.
Is that what's going on
I
here?
think that was the attempt to just not put out boring looking computer boxes.
Right.
You know, they wanted to appeal to the pedal buying market, which is a little bit more novelty than like rack stuff. They didn't want people, they wanted to, what all this stuff was, all the digital stuff coming out in the 90s, was the rack industry didn't stop. They just tried to cram all their stuff into pedals.
Yeah. No,
Like,
there's
'cause
a lot to that.
All the lines, the pod should have been a rack unit from the get-go. And I know they did eventually make racks out of it, but like that's where racks were headed. And that technology just moved into pedals. So it was rack companies trying to find a way to make guitarists buy racks inside of pedals.
Yep.
Is it a fun time? You know, I'm nostalgic for the time of being there. I'm not nostalgic for the gear. Like there was some cool stuff, but that like kind of like 98 to 2003, there wasn't a lot of gear that I was pumped on in the new market. Just saying. What next, Steve?
What's next is what's new, Ryan.
We've had a couple awkward pauses this episode. Was that our second or our third?
I'm not sure. Do you have a what's new?
That was my what's new. Awkward pause count.
Oh, okay.
2024.
Here's my what's new.
Oh yeah, this thing.
This is the Templo Devices T2.
Yep.
Sound
Steve
and
bought a
rhythm.
thing.
I bought a thing. I bought this guy. I plugged it in at home yesterday as of the recording date, and then we messed around with it a bit tonight. This is basically from Templo Devices. They made a clone, I guess. you would say, homage. It's a pretty spot on homage, I would say, to the old Maestro rhythm and sound.
And Steve and I got to check out one of those last time we were at Sweetwater. They had, was it last time or the time before?
Yeah.
They had, yes, right.
It was the last time we were there.
They had one of the original units, one of the Maestro units. Super weird, trippy thing to explore. Steve and I were playing with this before recording tonight. It seems the same to me. Yeah. It might actually be better. Like I feel
there's a few things that have been incorporated to make it better. The one thing I
like the rocker switches on it. It has this whole rhythm section with bongo, brush, tambourine, and clav. Mm-hmm. And you would think it would be like on an old Casio keyboard where you're just setting a rhythm and it plays the thing. No, it is sensing your playing dynamics. There is an input sensitivity knob right there, and it is applying a percussion to your hard hits. Mm-hmm. And I actually think it tracks a lot better than the original did, because I was playing like a rhythm strumming part where I was like digging in on the low and then, doing a strum, and it was picking up on that low hit for a percussion hit and then ignoring the strum. It's like, okay, I'm playing tambourine while playing rhythm guitar, and it's actually kind of working a little. It plays a little bit behind the beat, but there's something kind of sexy about that.
Yeah, the sub octave, I noticed that
the sub octave is nuts.
Tracks really well. The fuzz sounds great. The fuzz is, it's a very 60s Maestro, sort of fuzz.
I would buy just that fuzz. Mm-hmm. Like just the fuzz in a pedal. But then if you throw in the wow wow, I think the fuzz and the wow wow together, it's an envelope filter. Yeah. So like an auto wah. This whole thing senses you're playing and does weird things with it. And then it has an echo repeat speed. That's actually a tremolo. It's a hard chop and tremolo. So in this pedal,
you have all the effects you would ever need.
You have a percussion section that plays along with your beat, a little bit behind, but in a sexy way, like I said. Mm-hmm. You've got a nasty ripping 60s Velcro fuzz that like nails like the 60s psychedelic sound. Like if you're trying to get that really annoying thin like Velcro rip, there it is. That's a sound that I chase. Then you've got an auto wah, and you've got a hard chopping trim. It's kind of nuts. It's kind of a lot of fun. It's very quirky, but I sign off on it.
Yeah,
I should do a review of that.
Well, you
should do a review of it.
You want me to do a review of it?
Do you want to leave it and I can film it?
I can leave it. I can leave it for a couple of weeks. I'll pick it up.
All right, pick it up in 2 weeks. Maybe I'll get around to filming it this week or last week. Maybe last week. We'll see. I might be publishing it this week.
No, we'll leave it. It'll be fun.
I just want to show it off. It's fun. It's a good time. I want to play like baritone through it and stuff.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Yeah, it needs if it had a reverb built into it, it would be an all-in-one for me.
Yeah, but did they have
no, back then it wouldn't be true to itself. It would have. I mean, you could throw in a digital emulation of a spring, and Gibson did have some spring units, but I don't think when that came out.
Well, I'm just trying to think like what the smallest reverb unit would have been back then if they could have like.
Oh, they were all head side. Like the Gibson's reverb units were the same as the Fender. It was a big cabinet.
Even this is actually a size of pedal. I don't know if anybody sells this size pedal, but I know like back in the day, the Diamond Memory Lane, I think was this size case. The actual rhythm and sound unit is like the size of, I don't think it's on camera, but it's massive.
It's furniture.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to get it just to leave it on a bookshelf because it's cool to look at. It's like a decoration for your house.
Yeah. So
that's actually functional.
Their main goal was to turn this into like something you could put on your pedal board.
Yeah.
100% achieved. Bravo, Templo.
Super quirky though. Like it's not going to be for everyone. Absolutely not. Yeah. It's cool though. I'm glad Steve bought it with his money.
Ryan.
Was that four? Was that the fourth awkward pause, or was that third? I'm having trouble keeping count.
This episode is brought to you by TrueFire. If you're stuck in a rut, head on over to truefire.com, sign up for some lessons, and find something that it will appeals to you. The one that I started to work on and I need to finish working on, And I actually stopped on it because I was surprised at how long it is. And I just didn't want to get like super involved. Is Kings of Leon's Sex on Fire. They have a full tutorial. It's like a whole bunch of lessons built into that, teaching you all of the guitar. Like there's multiple like little sections, and they have a video like, here's a breakdown of this part on the verse, and it's like 3 minutes just on that. It's really a very in-depth look at that song. And so if you're looking for a specific song, I had no desire to learn that song. I just saw it on their list, and I was like I didn't go looking for it.
They've got a ton of songs.
I didn't go looking for it. I just looked at their song list and saw it there, and I was like, that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
You know, so go check that out. Use our link below.
Listen,
try it out. Do the free trial. There's a free trial, right? I think there's a free
absolutely.
trial. And then sign up for a year, because that's the best deal.
That's the best deal. It also gets us the most money. That's not the reason to do it. But my pitch.
Your pitch.
Not all of us are teachers, right? Mm-hmm. I have no desire. I have no ability to talk. I have no desire to teach anyone lessons. I'm self-taught, and I'm not even good at that. Like some of us are just not good at being teachers, but everyone at True Fire is.
No, that's a really good point.
Good pitch, right?
That's a great
If only
pitch.
I could speak correctly.
Yeah. Do we need to insert an awkward pause here?
No, but we did.
Ryan, this topic...
I didn't feel like that was actually that awkward because he called it out first.
This topic is...
Our least awkward pause so far.
Is brought to you by us.
You and me?
It disappeared because the app refreshed.
Damn it. All right, give us a second. We'll find it.
It's now no longer a week ago. It's now from 10/1. You posted on Threads, and we got a ton of responses. What's the most annoying thing me and my fellow guitar YouTubers do? And we're just going to go through the list.
Let's
and maybe
just read it.
Some of them. Aunt Shay says, this is the best sounding guitar amp pedal I've ever played. Everybody says that, right?
So I'm not going to be combative for all of these. He's saying that's what YouTubers say.
Yeah.
They say, oh, this is the best guitar ever. This is the best amp ever. Yeah. This is the best tube screamer ever made. I call BS. I don't think anyone's actually doing that. I think that's one of those things that people imagine guitar demo channels are doing.
I've definitely seen videos about products that aren't really that like mind-blowing, that are like, did this company just change overdrive forever?
Well, that's just abusive clickbait. That's not the same as saying something is the best, because you could be like, I've done it. Like I covered one of those smart guitars that had all the amps and everything built in, and the clickbait was like, is this the future of guitar? Obviously, maybe, but probably not. It's always going to be a niche sort of product. But like, that's the clickbait. No one, like, that's not someone actually going, this is the future of guitar. It's unavoidable. This is the best futuristic guitar ever made. I feel like that assumption is applied.
I'm trying to think of like someone like who do we know that's a music or a guitar YouTuber?
I feel like if there was
like the clickbaitiest,
if there was a guitar YouTuber that was out there saying that everything that they covered is the best, come on, Steve.
I'm trying to get a profile up. It's my thumbs are too fat.
Jesus, bonged in my ears.
I know.
If there was actually a channel like that just shilled everything as this is the best, this is the top best thing, everyone actually has to have this. If you don't like that intense of a hard sell on everything, I would have them in my heads as someone that I make fun of all the time.
Well, here's a title. I'm not going to call out the person, but I'll call out the title. The best Telecaster guitar isn't Fender or on Amazon.
Where is it?
It's sold through a third party. It's sold from Guitar Garden.
Okay.
It's a Firefly.
Oh, it's a Firefly. All right. That is, okay. All right. Well, everyone else, if you've got a channel in mind, comment it to us. If you think you know who this person's talking about, a channel that calls everything the best, or even implies it in their title or thumbnail that this is the best, I just don't think it's actually prevalent. I don't think the vast majority of guitar demo channels do. I'm talking about demo channels. I'm not talking about like guitar-tainment channels.
There's definitely a handful of people who do demos that I feel like used that kind of title.
Ladder Alligator, cool name, says, my pet peeves, blues licks, here's my clean tone, never doing the pedal with everything at 10. I don't read manuals. I'm not a tech guy, gear guy, never mentioning a pedal, just another tube screamer, or only reviewing new gear. So he's got a lot of pet peeves. Let's pick one or two.
I do want to pick on this one. Never mentioning a pedal is just another tube screamer. I think sometimes you can speculate that, but I know for me, like I have like the Caroline Guitar Company, I have the blues.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that circuit is.
Right.
Like if I read
could be a blues breaker, it could be a blues driver.
I think it might just be like an Electra over like distortion, whatever thing. But I don't know. So sometimes it's not obvious. Now, you know, the demo artist could say like, hey, this reminds me of this, but you don't actually know.
Right.
And there was that whole craze, I think a few years ago when everyone and their mother started making like DoD 250 inspired overdrives, and like nobody knew what they were.
Right.
Because when you think of like overdrive, I don't feel like at the time that was one that would, you know, if it wasn't a tube screamer, a blues breaker, or a blues driver, or a clon, then it wasn't in your forebrain. So,
sure.
So people, this is a unique take on a overdrive. And it's like, well, no, it's a DoD 250 with like a tone knob. That's really all it is. But people didn't know that. So you don't always know. Which one do you want to pick on?
Well, I'll say on the tube screamer thing.
Yeah.
If it's a fizzy mid-humped overdrive, I'm gonna say it. Like most of us are gonna say, and maybe a lot of us don't. But it's like there's no reason to not say, oh, here's a tube screamer style thing. Maybe it's different in this way or whatever. But like you can take a circuit and mutate it in ways where it's like you'd never be able to tell anymore.
True.
Like you could turn a tube screamer into a fuzz with like hard grit. Yeah, it started as a tube screamer circuit, but that like tons of stuff does. The blues licks thing, like I see people complain about it. I'm like, no one ever complains when I play blues licks.
They complain about all your other playing.
Right. It's probably because I'm not very good at it. So it probably doesn't come across as blues licks, but so much of Western music is based in the blues.
Yeah.
So maybe it's something specific that they're talking about. I'm not someone who watches channels that just like wax poetic about the blues all the time. So maybe I'm missing a lot of that.
I think it's tough when you have like a tube screamer and you want to hear it cranked, and then maybe they crank it, but they're still playing blues licks. So it should be getting into like a heavier territory, but you're kind of limited by the playing. But
yeah.
Mr. Tyler Larson says there's a guy with a name similar to mine in the guitar community whose Gmail account gets hacked every now and again. Then his YouTube and Insta follower list gets spamming messages with my social handles attached to them instead of his, saying DM me for a free guitar. Then I have to break the bad news that I'm more of a classical meets synth guy with no free guitars to give. I receive emails from his fans too. I always redirect and try to be kind, but the recurring nature of it all is pretty annoying.
That's so wild. Tyler Larson, the guitar YouTuber, is also known as Music is Win.
Mm-hmm.
So there's someone out there trying to scam people by trying to pretend to be Music is Win. And they're including this guy's Gmail account in the scam to make it look authentic. So he's just getting spammed by these poor people who think that they want something. At least he's not scamming them.
Yeah.
At least they're ending up in a real email address that won't scam them. But that's wild. That's wild. I'm sorry for that guy. Sorry, Mr. Tyler Larson, that you share a name. It's like a Michael Bolton situation from Office Space.
So you're saying it's not his fault that guy sucks?
Well, no, I'm not saying that, but it is like Tyler's a nice guy. I met him. He was the first Toman that I went to.
I don't know anything about him.
Okay.
I've watched like one or two of his videos. That's all I know.
Like he just seems like a chill guy to me. whatever. Nerd by nature
Yeah.
says, can I say what I love instead? No, let's just skip that. Cody J Baker 0 says, pay $120 for my 30-day guitar learning program. If you're a guitar YouTuber who has the discipline and the skill and the talent to do a lesson and sell it, that's the money. Well, they make good money doing that.
It's also like it's not this thing, but it's in the mindset of like it's recession proof. Like it's not specifically recession proof.
What it is it's passive income.
It's Google proof
on a level that you don't get otherwise in this scene. Like no one's very few channels are making a ton of money from YouTube ad revenue.
Yeah.
Doing demos is work that you have to do. That's not passive income. That's active income.
Yeah.
Affiliate links really only, they tend to about match whatever you're doing with YouTube ad revenue in my experience anyways. And none of this is like big dollar amount stuff, but if you can do lessons, like the guys who do that well, they're making good livings and I don't fault them for it. And if people are buying them and they're happy with them, they're getting what they hope to pay for, more power to them. You know, there's all sorts of different ways people learn. Sometimes someone speaks to you and you're like, I want to learn from that guy. I understand the way he talks to me. I understand the way he plays 100%. And shows things. But also like part of the bad side of that and the fact that it is lucrative, if you can do it well, is that most of the content on those types of channels exists to promote those programs. So it does get a little bit like, wow, cool concept video. All right, you're using this to promote.
Right.
All this is the front to promote your program. So I get that being exhausting. But dude, I wish I could do it. I'm not disciplined enough.
Signal to Noise says posting content. Just kidding. With all the trolls that love to hate your channel, I can't believe this wasn't in the comments yet. I don't find anything annoying. If I did, I would watch it.
No compliments.
I got your Homer. I got your humor and appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you. We're not reading compliments, Steve.
Yeah. All right, here's the one.
Got to vet these a little bit.
When everyone is talking about the same product at the same time, I understand why it happens, but it's deflating. So I only watch your video. This was an insult that turned into a compliment.
Thank you.
I only watch your video because only one of you makes spaceship noises.
But here's the thing. You're talking about product launch days. You're talking about when embargoes get lifted, which people always talk about like it's some sort of conspiracy. Like the embargo got lifted.
Yeah.
There's no embargo. The company told us when the product is supposed to launch, and we're not assholes.
Yeah.
We're not going to spoil it. We're not going to be the spoilers. That's for the retailers to do.
Do people complain about, like, you ever think about how when a movie comes out, like every newspaper in the United States drops their movie review? You think they watched it the day it came out? They watched it they've been writing this article for 2 weeks. They've already seen the movie a dozen times.
That is such a funny way to look at it. Like, oh, I can't believe every newspaper has a review for this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think we're doing over here? We're demo channels. We do demos. This is advertising. The companies want everyone to know when their new product comes out. And they don't actually, when it's a big launch, like the kind that's really annoying, they don't actually care if you watch any of them. They just want you to know the new thing exists. Like the view count doesn't matter at all I'm sure it matters to someone. But in reality, in the advertising, marketing, thinking way of this, it doesn't matter as long as people see enough titles and thumbnails and posts and people talking about it so that everybody knows, the maximum amount of people know that the new thing is out and the general gist of what it does, so that if that lands within their window of desire, they'll be shopping for it. So it's funny to me when people complain about this because it's like, it's obvious it's always going to happen. It's obvious. As long as YouTube is a viable advertising venue for brands, and as long as channels like ours keep getting to make videos and making a living at it, it's just never going to stop. But you've self-defeated your own complaint, because you said that you'll watch my videos. What if I didn't make a video because the company didn't hit me up because they hired someone else? Like, oh, we're not going to hire more than one channel. Why would anyone need more than maybe 1 or 2 channels to cover this thing? But there's something that I do in demos that you want to see. And so you come to me. It's the same for every other channel. There's something that channel does that someone in their audience wants to see. They're trying to cover all the bases. They're trying to reach all of the little micro markets, all the different tastes in the guitar industry, all the different ways that different players and different presenters show off and demonstrate the product. It's a no-brainer, and it's silly to me when people complain about it because it's so obviously never going to stop because it works.
Yeah, thanks, God of Logic.
Where are we now? Orange Frampton asking questions. Oh, asking our opinions. Oh, come on. I need comments.
Hold on. You got to read through the whole thing.
All right. It better not be a compliment. Some don't put enough effort into wacky. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Never mind.
Telling us about their yacht collections from their earnings on the YouTube channel.
All right. We're gonna skip compliments as much as we can.
Are there compliments in here? Dripping ice cream on the pedals. There's not
that's just the thing I did.
Did you drip ice cream on a
Not
pedal?
on it, but I did a dripping ice cream background for the first 50/50 video.
Not enough guitar George Foreman grill crossovers.
Too much, not enough, everything. All right, we're just being silly over here. Orange Frampton.
Fuzzimp says, I'll skip the compliment and I'll go to the comment that other people maybe sometimes using way too much produced demos. I know that they want to showcase things well and sell the pedals.
He says, so he's saying on the audio side. So there's this criticism that a lot of YouTubers overproduce their tracks in post.
Yeah.
I see people say, oh, they're using compression or EQ to completely change the way everything sounded so that when you get it, it won't sound that way at all. Here is, I could imagine that being annoying. Mm-hmm. But also there's so many other things that come into play. The way the person plays, the guitar they're playing through the pedal or whatever, the speakers in their amp, the amp itself, a lot of channels, because we live in the year 2024 or beyond, whenever you're watching or listening to this, people are using computers. People are recording direct to computer and using plugins and and emulations and things like that. And one of the reasons they're doing that is not to cheat you. It's because that's the way they like to work, and they are probably making content for other guitarists that like to work that way. It's a huge market. There's a lot of people who never plug into an amp at home anymore. They plug straight into their computers and use all sorts of downloads and stuff to simulate amps and different environments that they're playing in. And then they run pedals into it, believe it or not, to demo pedals. They are representing a significant portion of the market when they do that. It's a reality what's going on. And all the post-processing, if they're doing a lot of post-processing, that's actually valuable to their audience that plays and records and works in that space. They want to hear how said piece of gear works within that architecture, within that workflow. Now, where the problem is in my mind is if they don't tell you that they're doing that. If they don't tell you that they're producing a track.
Right.
If they don't even, I'm not even saying telling you all the time. I'm saying making it obviously part of their channel. Like, oh, this is my workflow videos. If they're making it obvious that that's their workflow, I have no problem with that. If it truly is some sort of sneaky thing, we're like, oh, this pedal doesn't have any mids, so I'm going to put mids into it to make it sound the way I think things should sound. Like, that sucks. Mm-hmm. I hope no one is doing that. I strongly suspect that very, very few are.
Right. I mean, and Jaffro Music a little further down says kind of the same thing that they say a couple of guitar YouTubers is, quote, hey, check out how I use this cool and unique new piece of gear to get the same sound and tone you hear in all my other videos. And I think sometimes that is like a curse of like just having a particular production, but it's also like you said, like there are people
an extremely tight tolerance for the type of tone that they like.
Right.
And so they use every piece of gear to recreate it.
There's also like a really like kind of famous video from about 20 years ago, I want to say now, that was, I think it was Satriani. It was either Satriani or Vi. I think it was Satriani.
Are you talking about him jamming in the garage with his kids band or whatever?
With
it was Satriani.
Just playing like a Squire Strat through like a practice amp.
No, I remember that video.
And it still sounds killer, and it still sounds like it doesn't sound like high gain, Satriani,
No,
but it still sounds like
him
Satriani.
Though. But it was that video was funny. I wonder if this even exists anywhere. This could have been pre-YouTube. It was funny because he was playing through one of his songs, and when it got to a part where he had like the song requires heavy dive bombing.
Oh yeah.
And he got to that part and just did like something completely different. And all the kids were like, yeah, we were wondering what was going to happen there. We don't have another one locked and loaded. We were too busy talking. And then we got it like, what is that? Our 5th or 6th awkward silence now.
Review products. Art by Stereo says review products like a YouTuber and not a normal. I've got to convince my wife it's worth it. The Nanocortex is an amazing piece of kit. Stop telling the majority about why it's not $1,200 more quad cortex. Yes, I like the Nanocortex, but tomorrow my quad cortex arrives because it made me realize my fan.
Okay, we get it.
I'm lost.
He loves his quad cortex.
This is a comment that I responded to, even though you started this thread. Someone said, Boy Eats Drum Machine said, constant sausage fest. And I said, you should follow Pedal Playhouse, get Offset, and Working Class Music.
Yeah. And others. There's other like female run.
Megan Lippy.
Yeah. And there's a lot of women out there making content. And all they need to succeed on YouTube is you to go to subscribe to them.
Yeah.
Like they're already doing the work. They need you to follow them for them to succeed. Like do you want to encourage more women to be in this space? I'm talking to you, not the person who asked, but everyone else. Go subscribe to female creators, to lady creators.
Diaz Pulgares says vague booking / clickbaity video titles like the reason I'll never play guitar again.
Yeah, that's exhausting. I don't have any defense for that sort of stuff because it bugs me. I like to do that stuff to lampoon it. Like if I can make a joke, then every now and then I'll have like, I'm quitting, like sort of video. And people show up and they're like, you got me, but I know you're joking immediately because I make it immediately obvious. It's in the first 30 seconds that I try to land the joke. It's never quite funny, but sometimes I trick people. That like the abusive, just like I'm quitting videos, or like I never thought I would ever play guitar like this. It works is the thing. That clickbait works, but it's exhausting.
John Wolski and Broderham kind of leave comments that are kind of in the same thing. John says, in general, get to the sound examples faster. I don't need a history lesson, pictures of the back panel, so on and so forth. Just play the damn thing, then talk about it. And then what's interesting about that is then Broderham says the opening jam not bookmarking. So, because I think of the opening jam as a way to hear the thing first before you talk about it.
Absolutely.
Bookmarking, I think, is tricky.
They're talking about chapters.
Yeah, no, I know they're talking about chapters, and I understand why some creators do it. When I think about like your demos, I can see specific ways to do it, but then it would kind of just be like, if you were to do chapters, it would be like the talking, like maybe intro jam, talking, and then like baritone. Like I don't know if you can really dig into beyond that.
I have done it, and it is like the chapters are kind of big. I should just do dumb stuff. I should put in like bullshit riff, and it's like this 2-minute little chapter.
Yeah.
It's like Ryan sucks here, you know.
Sure.
I'm the least proud of this moment. That's the name of the chapter. I should totally be doing that.
Seth Ambulism says noodling. Just give me a section of power chords. GED.
All right. Okay. Well, I will say In the very early days of this channel, I asked the Facebook group when I was first trying to figure out demos, I was like, what do you guys want from a demo video? Mm-hmm. And the thing that really stuck with me, and I always try to remember when I work myself into a corner and I don't know what to do with the product, there was a couple of people who just said, like, just strum a chord and let it ring out.
Yeah.
Just let it go. Let it do the whole thing. We want to hear what happens to the signal as it degrades all the way. I don't remember to do it all the time, but it's the thought that saves me when I can't think of what to do. You know, just like people want to hear this. They want to hear the basic example of what is happening to the signal. So it is something to think about.
Yeah. He also mentions turning the knobs too fast. So I have noticed this where, like, especially people who loop, and he mentions people who do run like a looping rip, like they record
sure.
Bit, that they don't let the whole thing play through. So they might have like a really interesting part where you're like, oh, I want to know what the drive sounds like when the loop gets to this certain section, but they go to the next set of settings on the pedal before it ever gets to that section. Instead of letting the entire loop play.
I'm going to interject my own complaints.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, one of my big complaints that led me into doing my own videos is that I couldn't, for the life of me, find any channel that was properly showing off spring reverb, like showing off if you could actually surf with it. Like people would like, oh, here's kind of a surfy riff, but they wouldn't palm mute to bring out to show if there's a drip or not. Right. And I was going crazy because like right before starting to do demo channel stuff, I was searching for reverb pedals that I could use with my band. And it was driving me nuts that no one would just palm mute and give me a drip. So that's one of my personal complaints. My other personal complaint is when channels only show the sweet spots. Sure. They don't show you the range of a control. And that's something I very intentionally do. Like I don't care if it's a fuzz and I know that when I use it, the gain is going to be all the way up. I'm going to show you the range of the fuzz knob just in case anything interesting happens with it turned all the way down. Like same for tone stacks. I want to hear the full sweep. I want to hear all the way dark. I want to hear everywhere middle, and I want to hear the brightest it can get. Volume knobs, who cares? Unless you're trying to demo like pushing an amp into tube distortion, no one needs to touch that. You just hit unity and you're done. But I want to hear the full range of every knob. If you want to show off sweet spots, cool, but show off the rest of the range too, so we can know what other trouble we can get into. I have my own complaints about YouTubers. There you go.
Jot Garrett says, not thinking about the most likely use case. They bought a Vox MV50 and they plug it directly to the PA, but most of the demos are running it through a cab on a mic. And, you know, so you have this amp that's capable of going direct, and probably a lot of people bought it to do that, but it's really hard to find a demo that features that. That's an interesting.
I'm guilty of that a lot. Every single time I get a product in that has MIDI capabilities, I'm not showing it off.
Right.
I don't work with MIDI. And my defense of that situation is that you can't go to every channel for everything. For certain things, you have to find specialists.
When you get like something like an amp sim, say, do you run that directly into the Zoom, or do you normally run that in? So you're okay. I was going to say like, or do you run that into the two Princetons and just have that mic?
The MV50, funny enough, that's the one that I did the headphone demo of.
Yeah, I remember.
That was a very early video, and I did a headphone demonstration, a headphone demo video, and it's literally me playing the guitar with headphones on and go like, oh yeah, I can hear it. Sounds good. Because I could have recorded out of the headphone line, but that's just the line out, and I wanted to do a silly joke, and I did it, and I pulled it off. So
here's another pairing.
Suck it.
Here's another pairing that I think is funny. Carrie Vinzant says the tubes in Tonewood Voodoo. Good sound is both relative to the context and a matter of personal preference. And then they talk about how you like hearing about Strymon and how awesome they are because you don't actually need it. Music is about content, not tools, which I agree. But then Ruby Rocks says less something you do and more an issue with the whole instrument demo as a whole is caring too much about aspects of gear that don't make a huge difference. Things like amp, speaker, cap size, pickup choice matter a lot. Mahogany versus ash, MDF, etc. Doesn't. So they are saying like tone in general is less important than ergonomics, but everyone focuses on tone and not necessarily like, hey, I like this neck because it's small and here's the dimensions. You know who's actually really good at that?
Who?
Looking at those types of minutia in terms of measurement, is Phil McKnight.
Oh, totally.
Like when he does a guitar demo, I watched one and like it was wild because he's singing. It's the first time I've watched one of his guitar specific ones and didn't just like skip around to the music parts. And he's sitting there with like, okay, the nut is advertised as this. Here's my digital calipers. Oh, yep, that's right. But let's see what it is at the 12th fret. Let's see. It's described as a modern C neck. Let's see how thick it is. So he's taking measurements all over the body.
Phil is a beast at that stuff. I used to try to do things like that, try to really document every aspect of whatever I was looking at. And I don't anymore. Like I hit on the points that I think are interesting, but I also kind of like have this mentality of if I don't talk about the nut width and someone is curious about it, they're going to click the link to go read about it.
Yeah.
If it's not something that jumps out to me in the moment, then I'm not going to talk about it because I'm trying to like do my own thing here. I have my own way of going through things. And if I have a list of every spec that I have to hit, it freezes me and I can't do my thing. I can't find my flow. So it's a matter of different styles. And sometimes it is a matter of incompetence or a blend of the two. Like I keep grabbing this thing. I didn't mention that it's a compound radius in the demo video that Fender paid me to do. And it's a major feature of the guitar. I didn't even mention it. Maybe I haven't edited it yet as of filming this. Maybe I had editing right.
Maybe you need to do a voiceover. James,
but I totally just didn't even like get around to mentioning it.
James F. Numbers says, not including links to tabs in the video description.
Whoa.
If the video is about how to play a specific song.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So like you're saying like, here's how you play the song and maybe you have the tab in the video.
I was scared he wanted
not
tabs during a demo video.
Yeah, there's not like a second, like a way to open something on the side that actually walks you through. He says, I'll even pay for them if the price is good.
So he wants it to be a link.
Well, he's basically saying like you have a lesson, but there's no like paper version of the lesson. I kind of get that.
So stuff can get tricky because there's actual copyright issue. And so I don't know how all that works out. We don't have a lesson channel here. I don't know if that gets sticky at all. Like I'm having flashbacks to the days of Harmony Centra and Olga, the online guitar archive and stuff like that, where it was all like user submitted tabs and the publishing companies came after them. Like there were lawsuits and websites were getting shut down, and they get protective about that stuff. So publishing tabs to songs, to recorded songs in YouTube videos could be problematic, but there's a lot of like, you could just make your own riffs and show tabs. Like that's what I would do if I was doing a lesson site. I'd be like, here's a riff that I came up with. Here's how to play it.
Yeah.
You can do that. Absolutely. As long as it's not some other song. I don't know about the legality of the rest of it though. Someone else tell us in the comments section. Just mining you guys for interactions down there, guys. Get down there. Give me the analytics. I want them analytics.
Schellenberg Steve says,
We got a lot of comments on this.
Stare intensely into the camera while playing.
We're not playing, Steve. That's the problem.
Darn.
Yeah, it doesn't count.
Sewn by Wolf says noodling, and then I do want to hit this last one because I think this is something that I think you do well. Astronaut FX, and this is the last one, and I think it's a good one, is try to pass off compensated demos as independent reviews. Some are very clear about this. Many others are most definitely not. I'll just preface with this. If a demoer, reviewer, whatever, is not being clear about this, it's actually illegal in the United States.
I mean, in a lot of countries too.
This is a FTC requirement.
Now, whether or not
that compensated,
anyone's ever been taken to court over it, or there's ever been any reproduction. We don't actually know how threatening that is. My mentality on that is that I follow the rules that YouTube and the opportunities to communicate that YouTube allows me. I mention very freely as often as it comes up, like, hey, this is my job. Hey, this is a demo. Like, hey, this is how I make my money. Like, I wear all that on my sleeve. There's no slick thing going on over here where I'm trying to hide that and act like I bought all this gear because it's what I wanted. I do demos. Like, this company sent me this. Like, I tell you guys that this is how I make my living. Figure it out, Yeah. We are an arm in the advertising world of the guitar industry. Like, that's the reality of it. I have empathy for the people who feel like maybe they're being tricked, who feel like there's channels out there that are not being honest and that it's not obvious or something like that. I do feel for you. Like, I don't want you to be misled, but I also feel like the vast majority of people on the internet, and I'm including teenagers, not just adults. I mean, I think adults might be more of the problem. Honestly, I feel like most of us have the ability to have intuition to figure out, just based on the production quality of a channel, is whether or not it's their job or not.
Yeah, I think
whether or not they're making a living or making any sort of profit doing it. If it's a pretty slick operation, like slick production, or like they seem to be doing it a lot, there's a good chance that like they've made it part of either their side hustle or their main gig, and there's everything that comes along with that.
I assume I guess I've never looked for it. The podcast episodes, when they air, do they have the little paid includes paid promotion?
Yeah, I clicked that because we have sponsors.
And just so for some insight on this, the FTC descriptions and the way people interpret it is pretty broad, to the level that, like, even if this background was empty, if this was nothing was here, the fact that I'm wearing a Honey Pick shirt and Ryan is wearing an Earthquaker Devices shirt, even if we had no audio sponsors like Chase Bliss, TrueFire, whatever, just the act of wearing these shirts, because these are brands we've worked with in the past, makes this video paid promotion.
I can act like I have this shirt. I don't remember what pedal it was for, but Earthquaker sent out a press release before launch. I was like, we're launching this pedal. I was like, oh, that looks cool. They're like, you want to do a demo for it? And at the time, they didn't have a marketing budget for that, or they had already spent it when I hit them up. And they're like, oh, well, we can send it to you, but we can't like hire you for a demo right now. I was like, can you send a shirt too?
No, there you go.
And they're like, yeah, we'll send a shirt. So they sent me the pedal and the shirt, and I did a demo because I liked the pedal. I was like, I want to cover that. And I also want this shirt. Now I have this shirt. So yeah, if everything behind us was blank and Steve was naked, this is paid promotion, because I requested this as my payment for doing a demo that I otherwise was not compensated for. Well, I received the pedal. I received the value of the pedal, so like it covers such a wide range that like the vast majority of the time I click that box that will say paid promotion. The only time I don't do it is when I feel like it would fly in the face of what I'm actually doing. Like if it's a Patreon funded video, I might be holding a guitar that I did a paid demo of. I might be using cables or amps or wearing clothes that were connected in some way to a paying gig. But I'm trying to communicate like the Patreon's paid for this and made this video possible. So I'm not going to click the thing that says paid promotion.
Okay. I mean, that sounds fair.
That's how I feel about it. And that's really like, or unless it's like me doing a think piece or something, which is so rare.
Yeah.
That like, those are the only times I don't mark that thing, even if I'm not technically getting paid money.
This last ad was sent by Justin Jolkowski. It's our spooky ad of the week.
Whoa, Spooktober on 60 cycle. Do we have a spooky pun?
Yeah, this is some sort of
60 spirit hum.
I feel like that didn't work.
No.
But y'all come up with something that's better, please.
Yeah, we only got 2 weeks left of this.
Yeah.
Or 1 week?
I don't know. This it was some kind of auction. Its estimate value of $1,250 to $1,500. It is a Hellraiser multi-hand signed autographed guitar. There's not really a lot of description of it. Apparently, this was owned by Dave and Ray Davies.
I don't know anything about the names that are associated with this. I'm trying to even remember a Hellraiser. I'm trying to remember the name. Was it the Cenobites?
The Cenobites.
That's what they're called?
Yeah, but I don't know what any of the names
Yeah,
are.
Cenobites. So this is this race of hellish creatures that pain is pleasure for them. And so they're always all mutilated and torn apart. And they got, Pinhead's got all these pins in his head because that's his name. And they abduct yuppies from the 80s.
Oh my gosh.
And torture them in creative ways. There's a whole, I haven't watched a Hellraiser movie in probably 20 years. And even then, I had it on a Saturday afternoon and wasn't really paying that close attention. But this is an ad that we had in the email for a spooky ad for Spooktober here on 60 Cycle Ghoul.
I'm not sure.
That's not good.
I'm trying to figure out. So Doug Bradley signed this. He is Pinhead.
Okay. My hope is that the other names will be like special effects people or something.
Nicholas Vince signed this. The one, and he drew it too. So that makes sense. That's Chatterbox.
Oh, so we got,
Chatterer.
Do we have signatures of the Cenobites?
Yeah. The one on the upper arm is Simon Bamford, who is Butterball. And the one that I'm confused about is this one down in the corner, because the other one in that movie
really nice signatures, by the way. You can tell that none of these people are musicians.
Yeah. The other one is Grace Kirby. So I don't know if that's like a different, this says like something Wilkie. And I don't know. I don't see that from the first movie, at least.
Who knows?
So,
but that they're bound to be associated in some sort of way. We've identified two names. They are connected. They are actors, and they have signed a crappy guitar.
Yeah. This is a Viper. Was it something Viper guitar?
It looks like a carnival prize.
Viper by.
I mean, look where
the guitars.
Look where the output jack is, or the input jack, or whatever you want to call it. Whichever direction your signal goes.
This is definitely a carnival guitar.
On the lap, the part that would rest on your leg, right below the tone control. Like this is the cheapest of the cheap when it comes to guitars, even carnival guitars. I just like that this listing. Like I was on the full auction site listing, and there was no information other than what I screen grabbed here. Like there was no description of the signatures, no description of where this came from or when, just like as vague as possible, which is like, it's always kind of funny to me because it seems to be that way. Every time we look at some sort of guitar that's got a bunch of signatures and it's in an auction or being sold somewhere, there's either very vague information or no information about the signatures at all, which kind of shows you just how valuable signatures are. No one remembers. It's not really worth tracking down who these people are. If you know, then it's probably meaningful to you, but no one can read any of this, right? This like 5 or 6 people scribbled all over this guitar, and now it's up for auction. And the current high bid, with 2 days remaining, I'm assuming this is a 7-day sort of thing. The current high bid is 0. There's 0 bids on this.
Yeah.
And it's a Hellraiser guitar. It says Hellraiser on the fretboard. It's got Pinhead, either as it might be printed or it might be a vinyl sort of applique or something like that. And it's got 4 signatures of actors on there. No bids.
So the other signature on here is Barbie Wilde, who played female Cenobite in Hellraiser 2.
Ah, that one. I don't remember.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, I'm sure she looked like she was in absolute ecstasy while being tortured. So they all look that way.
I don't really have a lot to say about this. It's a concept. I don't see how this goes for $1,200. So
is that what they want?
that's what they're estimating the value of this at.
No.
And this is an authenticated signature.
You know who could tell us if it's worth anything?
Who?
Ben Eller.
Ben Eller.
Yeah.
Uncle Ben.
Uncle Ben.
All right, Ryan.
Someone tag Uncle Ben. Get him over here to comment on this thing.
Ryan, let's hit this Adventurers Club.
Ooh, yeah.
What do you got?
We got Hellraiser. We got
Starblaster.
We got Starblaster.
I think it's and Vintage Timeline.
Oh, it was fun talking about the timeline. The Starblaster was really cool too.
My vote is Starblaster.
Yeah, you're right. Starblaster it is.
Starblaster.
Congratulations, Rupert Jacques.
I think it's just Jacques.
Rupert Jacques.
It's just Jacques.
Sorry, I should have known that. I feel bad. Now I'm going to get tortured by a Cenobite.
This song was sent by Tim. He says, "My name is Tim, and I'm the singer/guitar player in the Hog Doctors. I've been watching the podcast."
That name is funny, and Steve's delivery was on point.
I've been watching the podcast since I was in high school, so he could be anywhere between the ages of like 19 and 28.
He could still be in high school.
That's true. This is our song called Gil from our first album, Simp. It's a Simpsons concept album where I wrote through some of the characters. The album is available on all streaming services and Bandcamp, so I'll have a link down below.
Gil lets his hands sink downwards onto deflated armrest. The stress beats on his bald spot, carved out a home for sunburn. Gil looks up at the sky. He aches to know just why he felt like he was no one, just another someone. All that I have is old stories, and down 1,000 miles high, I left my heart in Abilene.
That was not what I expected at all.
What were you expecting at all?
I was expecting, like, I don't know, with a name like the Hog Doctors, I was expecting something like
More novelty.
like maybe like a Primus or like a Ween.
All right.
Also, I don't know who Gil was because I don't
do have
watch
to
enough
admit,
Simpsons.
I forgot everything you said about the Hog Doctors. And the moment the music started playing, I was just like, got sucked into the music. I was like, wow, these guitar
Oh yeah,
parts.
that was sick.
Yeah. What do you call that guitar style? That's like mathy, right?
It's mathy. It's Covet. That Young. It's the way the vocals and everything fit. It's kind of this. My question is was this too technical to be Midwest emo? It would kind of be my question.
You think it's Southwest emo?
I think. Well, I just know that there's some like overlay between like. Depending on the person,
Or do you think it's Middle East emo?
Between Midwest emo and
Mid-East.
and math. This town needs guns. That could be another influence on this band.
All right. It's definitely stuff further in your wheelhouse than mine.
Yeah. No, I really enjoyed it.
No, it sounded great. Really great song.
Yeah.
Really great execution and playing too.
Yeah. Thanks for sending it in.
Bye, everybody.
Stay grounded.